How's everybody? I met Bob in 2014 when I was studying to be a wound care nurse. Bob was a very well-dressed elderly gentleman who was having the second toe on his left foot amputated that day. From a surgical perspective, it was an easy 45-minute procedure that would leave Bob infection-free. But for Bob, it was a moment of failure. A World War II and a Korean vet, Bob had lived by the book his whole life. A model patient, Bob had followed his doctor's orders and gone and purchased those diabetic shoes and socks. The shoe rubbed his toe, the sock did little to protect. Bob was losing his toe. He was losing a piece of himself that day. And he felt that he had failed himself. Foot ulcers affect millions of people every year. And to be quite frank, a lot of people think that it's just a toe, it's quite dispensable. But when you lose a piece of yourself, you lose a lot. Bob's story stuck with me because I couldn't help but think that day that so many shoe-related issues like foot, hip, knee, and back pain and wounds are so preventable if we just secured our shoes to our feet a little bit better. Feet are our foundation. They're an amazing piece of biomechanical engineering. The fact that we can balance on them, run from the lion, and even do what we do is quite amazing. Feet that are not functioning properly affect our whole body. Shoes and socks are supposed to protect our feet. Sure, they can be a fashion statement, but their primary purpose is protection. When you are wearing your shoes properly, you are free to balance and move around. Even though 1 in 4 adults state that their feet hurt on a daily basis, to be quite frank, foot pain is just not normal. When your foundation is off, it affects your whole body. Feet that are not functioning well and shoes that don't fit properly are 2 of the major contributors to elders falling and being off balance. This is not new. I take care of some people who are over 100 years old. They grew up in the time of the X-ray machine and a really knowledgeable shoe salesperson. And despite this expertise, I can tell you, they're not wearing their shoes properly either. We currently have great shoes, socks, and gizmos that purport all sorts of wonderful remedies. We also have an amazing amount of information. We have surgical techniques, really great doctors, and look at what's available to us on the internet. So I ask you, why is it that 60% of all Americans have a hammer toe? 1 out of 4 Americans state that their feet hurt on a daily basis. 1 out of 24 of us is going to end up with a knee replacement. And hundreds of millions of people have foot, hip, knee, and back problems. Folks, something is wrong here. I'm a registered nurse, board certified in foot care. And the feet that I take care of, I take care of a lot of feet. I take care of rich people, I take care of poor people, I take care of well-educated people, I take care of white collar, I take care of blue collar. The feet that I take care of bear the brunt of time and poor footwear choice. But I have to tell you, this is not an old people problem. The feet that you have right now, right, the shoes that you are wearing right now, you are setting yourself up for the rest of your life. If you are not wearing your shoes properly and you are not balancing on your feet the way that they are designed to be balanced on, you will pay a hefty price. Currently, a new knee is $42,000. Guys, wouldn't you rather spend that money somewhere else? A lot of pain and suffering could literally be avoided, and expense, if we actually knew how to balance on our shoes, or balance on our feet and wear our shoes better. We need to enhance our physical functioning rather than chasing the norm that has us chasing fashion, which is really important to a lot of people, but We need to do our own physical functioning. We have that status quo that says, you know what? I'm a runner. Blackened toenails are normal. Or those nurses that say at the end of a shift, my legs, hips, knee, and backs hurt, and they think that it is just totally normal. To be quite honest, it is not. Look, I'm not here to harp on your high heels or your sloppy flip-flops. To be quite frank, clowns wear shoes that are too big for them all the time. Right? I am here to share with you the knowledge about balance and shoe fit so that your foot, hip, knee, and back pain is no longer related to the way that you are wearing your shoe. So where is the knowledge? We've got this internet. Some of it we learned a little too early. Some of it is disappearing as society races really quickly towards things like self-tying shoes. But technology is really expensive, and not everybody can afford it. So tonight I'm here to share with you the inexpensive way. Pen, paper, lacing, and knowledge. So for a moment right now, let's put pedicures aside and that shame and embarrassment that many of us have about our feet and the, ew, feet are gross comments, I'm sure you've heard them, aside, and just take a minute to thank your feet. Go ahead, wiggle your toes. You may not understand your feet or how they work, but they are how most of us get through our daily lives. You also learned how to use them and dress them long before you could actually fully understand them. Most of us learn to tie our shoelaces around age 5. Around age 7 or 8, that's when we learn our shoe fit. At those ages, we are incapable of understanding the biomechanics and the mechanics of how a foot works or how a shoe is supposed to be attached to our foot. To be quite frank, if we can get out of bed and go for a run, we're happy. We don't even think about our feet. Our parents and the very knowledgeable person at the shoe store is who we usually turn to. But if they don't teach us, we never learn. Truth be told, I take care of a lot of feet. I take care of a lot of people who are wearing the wrong shoe size and they're not balancing on their feet correctly. When I point it out, they are initially embarrassed, as most of us are, when something is pointed out to us that we feel that we should have already known. But just like foot, hip, knee, and back pain not being normal, shoelaces that come untied, that's not normal either. A square knot is actually the way to tie a shoe so that it stays tied. There are a lot of other ways. But did you know that there are 43,200 different ways to tie a pair of 12 eyelet shoes? That's a big number. And sure, it's one that can be addressed with a buckle or some Velcro or a strap. But no matter what the fastening mechanism is, if your shoe is not attached to your foot, then you will contribute to your foot, hip, knee, and back pain, which, by the way, is not normal. It's important that your shoe fits and that it is actually fastened to your foot. Yes, most of us are smart enough not to buy a pair of shoes that don't fit. But we also normalize. Like I said, blackened toenails in runners are not normal. And foot, hip, knee, and back pain should not be part of the job. So I'm here to teach you that back pain is not normal. I'm just saying that. If you didn't get it, I'm just saying it again. Ever, okay? Foot pain is not normal ever, right? But in order for you to get it, you actually have to understand some things. There are 26 bones in the foot. There are a lot of muscles, tendons, connective tissue, and skin holds all of that together. All the bits and pieces inside that skin wrap, they're supposed to be movable and flexible. A foot that does not pump well, a stiff foot, doesn't pump blood and lymph very well. Skin is supposed to be healthy. To be quite honest, a happy person with a happy foot is light, right? Somebody without doesn't look so good, right? So We're supposed to bend and flex, and that skin that is dry and flaky is supposed to have things like coconut oil and olive oil, not mineral oil. Honestly, I think that we can actually do better by acknowledging that a happy foot is actually a happy person. So in my experience, a hurting foot, plantar fasciitis, a corn, a callus, an ingrown toenail, which is not normal, right, is usually an indication of a mismatch between a foot and a shoe. Most people that I meet also don't actually know how to measure their feet and their shoe size. That might be a little bit of a statement, but a foot actually has two components to it. It actually has multiple components to it, but it has two main components. It has the foot that is for weight bearing, and then it has toes, and those toes are actually designed for balance. Some people have short feet and long toes. Some people have long feet and short toes. Can you see how that would be the same overall shoe size, but a very different looking foot? So, your foot measurement is actually from your heel to the widest part of your foot. That's that first metatarsal. Your overall foot length is actually from your heel to the length of your longest toe. There are two measurements that you need to know, not just one. Women's shoes used to really hurt me because I didn't actually know that my foot pattern was not fitting into the foot pattern that the manufacturer had in mind for me. Once I learned my foot pattern, now when I go shopping, I look for a men's 7.5, 8 in a wide, and my feet don't hurt anymore. It's awesome. We all get stuck in the shoe size rut, in part because we get programmed, right? But no matter what the manufacturer says the shoe size is, if your foot pattern doesn't fit in the shoe, guess what? The shoe never will. A foot pattern can be drawn on a piece of paper, and that piece of paper can live in your wallet. That way, it is readily available for you to go shopping anytime. You can go to the most expensive shoe store, slip your piece of paper in there. You can go to the dumpster, slip your piece of paper in there, or you can go to your friend's closet. Once you understand that the pattern, once you understand that you have your pattern down, then it's important that you know that the shoe only works by being secured to your foot. That may seem like a very simple statement, but if you take a step and your foot flaps away, or your shoe flaps away from your foot, then the only way for you to hold that shoe on is to actually use your toes. Toes are for balance. Securing your shoe to your foot, that's what the straps, buckles, laces, and Velcro are for. Toes are simple pulleys. They can only do one thing. They can either hold your shoe on, or you can use them to balance. It's a choice, but one that we are not all very conscious of. If you look inside your shoe and you see prints in the front of your shoe, or you feel tension in your toes, you can actually feel, if you actually scrunch your toes right now, you can feel that tension, right? That is indicative of the tension in your toes. Tension in your toes is tension in your bodies, right? So we have this choice. Tension toes are also indicative of forward balance. Remember what I said about elders falling? So as a foot care nurse, I rub out a lot of hammer toes because they're not really hammer toes. They are tension toes that don't know how to be released. Toes are supposed to be free to wiggle, and feet are supposed to be, that are released, get to actually balance you. So my suggestion is that if we actually learned how to balance on our feet, then we would actually have less bunions. And our free toes should actually be free to wiggle all the time, rather than using them to hold our shoes on. So balance should actually look like this on the back of the heel, rather than like this. This looks heavy. If you watch somebody walking on the front of their foot, they look heavy, versus somebody who is light and balanced will actually look light. So now that you know that feet are not supposed to hurt, that balance is light, and that your unique shoe pattern can actually stay in your wallet, and that balance is light, right? How exactly is a shoe supposed to be secured to your foot? When we walk, we lift our heel. A shoe that fits properly is supposed to actually lift with your heel. It's supposed to be, for us to function properly, we need to actually walk over our arches and then use our toes to balance. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's pretty basic. Good shoe manufacturers actually know that. That's why they have those laces, buckles, Velcro, and straps. Once a shoe is properly attached to your foot doesn't actually have to do anything to hold that shoe on anymore. A fully functioning foot is a happy foot. It is free. It is not painful. A foot is not supposed to hurt, ever. Of recent, I've been using a lightning lacing pattern. We actually have it on the thing outside. And I've been getting great results. I get comments like, oh my goodness, wow, or are you serious? My knee doesn't hurt? Which seems a little basic because it's just a lacing pattern and it's about securing your heel into the back of the shoe. As a foot care nurse, trying to prevent wounds and falls from happening, I think that this is really, really exciting. And to be truth be told, though, it's not going to make anybody millions of dollars. But I can tell you that if we actually embodied it, we would change millions of lives for the better. Changing someone's lacing pattern to better secure their feet into their shoes is actually not that difficult. It can be taught to young kids, right? But we actually have to embody it. Go. Knowledge is power. And with it, we get to choose our destiny. While the pattern of the foot was actually right for Bob that day, what Bob did not know was how to secure his foot into his heel. The shoe, Bob was holding his shoe on with his toes, and the skin on his toe rubbed up against the shoe. Bob lost his toe that day. But to be quite honest, the price that we are paying as a society for the Bobs and Janes of this world not wearing their shoes properly is a lot more. In 2015, Medicare spent over $50 billion on elder falls. And diabetic foot ulcers added an additional $13 billion to the price of managing diabetes. That was 2015. Our population of elders is growing. That means that the price is going up. But we can change this because 3D printing happens to be on the near horizon. And with it, we can actually put fashion into shoe fit. But this can't be done if none of us take the time to actually understand how a shoe is supposed to fit to our feet and how we are actually supposed to be balanced on our feet. And that shoes and socks are designed to protect us. We have a choice. So I encourage every single one of you to go out and literally take a piece of paper and trace your pattern, fit your pattern to your shoe. Go ahead, change your shoe lacing. Secure your heel into the back of the shoe. Adjust your balance. And it will change your life. Because feet are our foundation. And wouldn't it be really nice if elders didn't fall, Bobs didn't get their toes amputated, and you never hurt because you're actually wearing your shoes properly? Thank you.